As if. Just 2 words, said by a Beverly Hills teenager dismissing someone with the absolute minimum effort possible. And somehow that became one of the most quoted, most imitated, most immediately recognizable moments in 1990s cinema. Written and directed by Amy Heckerling and released by Paramount Pictures. In 1995, Clueless follows Cher Horowitz, a wealthy, confident, well-meaning Beverly Hills high schooler who is spectacularly wrong about almost everything except the things that matter most. Alicia Silverstone plays Cher with a warmth so genuine it sneaks up on you. Stacey Dash is Dion, her best friend and the only person who matches her energy. Brittany Murphy is Ty, the new girl who arrives as a project and leaves as a person. And Paul Rudd is Josh, the college-age ex-stepbrother Cher spends most of the film failing to understand she's in love with. But what started as a TV pilot that Fox rejected for being too female, an actual note from an actual executive, became a $12 million Paramount film that earned $56 million back domestically, invented a dialect that real teenagers adopted within months, and turned a Jane Austen novel from 1815 into the coolest thing on screen in 1995. Today we're counting down 15 facts about Clueless you probably didn't know. Stay for number 1, because the story of how an Oscar nomination was lost, not to a rival screenwriter, but to Amy Heckerling's own honesty in a press junket, is exactly the kind of thing that sounds made up and absolutely isn't. Before we get into it, hit like and subscribe. This channel is all about the movies and TV that shaped a generation, and there's a lot more where this came from. All right, don't be clueless about it. Let's get into number 15. Number 15, the script Hollywood called too female. Fox came to Amy Heckerling in 1993 with a request. They wanted a TV show about teenagers, cool kids, not outsiders, not underdogs. Heckerling went away and wrote something she called No Worries. What Fox got back was a character-driven story about a Beverly Hills girl navigating high school with warmth, wit, and a moral compass buried under a lot of plaid. Essentially, Clueless in pilot form. Fox passed. Their specific note, according to producer Twink Kaplan, was that the script was too female. They wanted more boys in it. A story focused on girls wouldn't pull a wide enough audience. It went into turnaround. Heckerling's new agent at CAA, Ken Stovitz, read it and had the opposite reaction. Too good for TV. He started pitching it as a film. And then almost every studio in Hollywood passed. Every single one. Heckerling told Variety that Stovitz was just driving himself insane, trying to find it a home. The title sounded like a film about slackers. The tone wouldn't translate. Nobody quite got it. Then producer Scott Rudin found it. There was a bidding war. Paramount won. Sherry Lansing, running the studio, greenlit a movie about girls without insisting on adding more boys. The film that every studio passed on for being too female opened number 2 at the box office on July 19th, 1995, right behind Apollo 13, and spent the rest of summer making everyone who'd passed look like the actual Clueless one. Number 14. The casting room was a time capsule. When casting director Marcia Ross started filling the world of Clueless, the list of people who came in and didn't get the parts reads like a preview of the next decade of Hollywood. For Cher, Heckerling had her heart set on Silverstone, but the studio asked her to see more options. She met with Kerry Russell, Reese Witherspoon, Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Angelina Jolie. Jolie was reportedly deemed too knowing, too worldly to play someone with Cher's specific brand of sunny obliviousness. For Josh, Ben Affleck and Zach Braff both read. For Travis, Jeremy Renner came down to the finals. If he'd gotten it, Clueless would have been his first film. Instead, that honor went to National Lampoon's Senior Trip. For Murray, Terrence Howard came in. So did Dave Chappelle. Heckerling liked Chappelle, but felt he was too edgy for the role. Donald Faison got it partly because she felt he had a more innocent appeal. Dave Chappelle, who went on to become arguably the most celebrated stand-up comedian of his generation, was turned down by Clueless for being too much. And for Amber, the role was actually offered to Sarah Michelle Gellar. She wanted it. Her All My Children contract said otherwise. Its producers refused to release her for a few weeks of filming, so Elisa Donovan got the part, and Sarah Michelle Gellar went off to become Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which worked out fine for everyone. Number 13. Paul Rudd. Nearly shaved his way out of the movie. When Paul Rudd auditioned for Clueless, he had long grunge-era hair. He told the story on Amy Poehler's podcast. After the audition, he heard nothing. He assumed he hadn't gotten it. So one afternoon, walking past a barbershop in Los Angeles, he went in. Just buzz it, they cut all of his hair off. About a week later, he ran into Amy Heckerling at a restaurant. She looked at him and said, essentially, "What happened to your hair? You were in the running." When it came time to screen test, the production put him in a wig. He said it didn't look right because wigs on men rarely do. He got through it, got the role, and the wig situation was quietly retired. Here's the kicker. Rudd had read for Christian and Elton before landing Josh. He'd been circling the film for months, trying to find his way in, and nearly barbered himself out of all of it in one impulsive afternoon. Rudd was 25 at the time, playing a college student, and he almost walked into a barber shop and handed that role to someone else. He later told people that Clueless was a game changer. He wasn't wrong. He's now Ant-Man. Number 12. Heckerling made a VHS tape and the studio got the wrong girl. After Amy Heckerling spotted Alicia Silverstone in the Aerosmith Cryin' video on her treadmill, she taped it to a VHS cassette, attached it to her script, and sent the package to Fox. In a 2025 oral history, she described what came back. "The studio I was at said no. That was Fox." So, the script went into turnaround, and Heckerling started shopping it elsewhere. By the time she was pitching again, the crazy video had come out. The one with Silverstone and Liv Tyler, Steven Tyler's daughter, taking a road trip together. Heckerling taped that one too, and included it in the package. At one of the studios that received both tapes, someone called back with a question about which girl she meant. Specifically, was it Steven Tyler's daughter? Heckerling clarified. "No," she said. "The other one." Liv Tyler went and made Empire Records. Alicia Silverstone became Cher Horowitz. And when Silverstone found out Clueless had been greenlit, she was in Paris filming another movie. She got a fax, an actual fax, and from Heckerling at her hotel saying it was happening. She was so overworked by that point that she later described Clueless to Into the Gloss as just another job. The studio nearly hired someone else's daughter by mistake. Heckerling had known from the first frame of Cryin' exactly who she wanted. The actress she'd chosen had no idea what she was about to walk into. Number 11. 60 outfits on a $200,000 budget. The real magic of Clueless is that it looks expensive when it wasn't. Costume designer Mona May had $200,000 to dress an entire school's worth of characters across a 40-day shoot. For context, Casino, also released in 1995, had a costume budget of $1 million. Sharon Stone's wardrobe alone received more attention and money than May had for the entire world of Clueless. May was working with a fifth of Casino's total budget for a film in which the lead character alone had 60 costume changes. And she couldn't buy what real Beverly Hills teenagers were actually wearing. May visited local schools to research and found, in her own words at the film's 30th anniversary screening, that everyone dressed in oversized flannel. Grunge. "This is not the reality we want to create," she said. So she went to Paris runways for inspiration instead, then translated those looks into something a teenager could plausibly wear by shopping on foot, store to store, because in 1995 there were no PR packages. No designer was sending boxes of clothes to dress a teenage comedy that couldn't even get a studio to greenlight it. The blending of genuine designer pieces with thrift store, finds and precision tailoring was so seamless that the whole thing photographed like couture. The result was a wardrobe that told you exactly who each character was the moment they appeared on screen. You could mute the film and still read the entire social hierarchy from the outfits alone. That's not costume design. That's character writing in fabric. Number 10. The girl running on frozen yogurt. Alicia Silverstone was 18 when Clueless filmed. She was also, by her own account, running on fumes. She told Into the Gloss, "I worked nonstop. It was crazy. So much so that I was tired when I started Clueless. Just an overworked little person." The exhaustion had a physical cost. Silverstone got sick twice during production. First, stomach problems shut down filming for a day. The crew rescheduled to shoot a rare scene without her. 3 weeks later, it happened again. A doctor came to set, Ulcers, stress-induced. The only thing her system could tolerate was frozen yogurt. The entire production shut down and waited. For a film with a 40-day schedule and a $12 million budget, that is an expensive kind of patience. This is the context for one of the warmest, most precisely observed performances in 1990s comedy. Everything you're watching, the lightness, the timing, the effortless confidence that makes Cher feel real rather than written, was delivered by a teenager managing a stress-induced stomach condition in the middle of it. She later told Entertainment Weekly that after Fame hit, she felt strange for about 3 or 4 years, over-intellectualizing her work, second-guessing instincts that had come naturally before. She'd described herself to Into the Gloss as just an overworked little person when Clueless started. It turned out that overworked little person, too depleted to be guarded, too tired to perform, gave the best performance of her career. Number 9. The mispronunciation that made the scene. There's a scene where Cher gives a classroom debate speech arguing for accepting Haitian refugees. It's sharp, it's funny, and at one point she mispronounces Haitians as Haitians. That wasn't a character choice. Alicia Silverstone didn't know how to say the word. According to Vogue, Heckerling heard Silverstone mispronounce it during rehearsal and made a deliberate call. She told the production crew not to correct the actress, not in rehearsal, not on the day. She let Silverstone walk into the scene and say it with complete conviction. Cher means well. She's passionate about the cause. She just hasn't checked every fact. And that combination, delivered with total conviction, is exactly what the character is. One unscripted mispronunciation communicates all of it more efficiently than 3 written lines ever could. It's one of the most quoted moments in the film. It exists because an 18-year-old hadn't looked up the word, and because Heckerling had the instinct to recognize that what she'd caught on camera was better than anything she could have directed. Heckerling reportedly made the same call in several other moments during the shoot, catching Silverstone being genuinely unaware of something and choosing to keep it rather than fix it. The pattern is the film. You can't manufacture that quality. You can only be sharp enough to recognize it when it walks into frame. If Silverstone had known how to say Haitians, the scene is good. Because she didn't, it's the one everyone still quotes. Number 8. She was 28 and playing 16. The actors playing Beverly Hills teenagers in Clueless ranged in real age from 17 to 28 at the time of filming. Alicia Silverstone was 18, close enough to Cher's 15 that it barely registers. Brittany Murphy was 17, almost eerily right for Ty. But Stacey Dash, who played Cher's best friend Diane, named per Heckerling after a great singer of the past, who now does infomercials, same as Cher herself, was 28 during production. Her son was 3. She had been a working actress for 13 years. She was playing a high school sophomore. Heckerling had been vocal about wanting actors who genuinely felt young. She went out of her way to cast people close to their characters' ages. And then she cast Stacey Dash, who was nearly 30, and apparently decided some exceptions write themselves. Here's the kicker. Dash went on to play Diane in the Clueless TV series from 1996 until 1999. 32 years old by the time she last wore that school uniform. The series ran 4 years across 2 networks and 62 episodes, every one of them with Stacey Dash playing a 15-year-old, and it never looked wrong, not once, not in a single frame. The Wikipedia article on acting age cites Stacey Dash as its primary example of the phenomenon, an actor whose credible age range had no visible ceiling on the younger end, which is a strange kind of legacy. But given the alternative, it's probably the right kind. Number 7, the iconic high school was shot at a college. The fictional Bronson Alcott High School, where Cher and Diane rule the social order, was filmed at 2 locations, both of them nowhere near Beverly Hills. The exterior shots, the quad, the entrance, the grassy knoll where Travis and the Lodies hang out, the esplanade where the As If gets delivered. All shot at Occidental College in Eagle Rock, a liberal arts school about 15 miles from Beverly Hills. The building standing in as the school entrance is Occidental's Johnson Student Center. The interior scenes, the hallways, the classrooms, the gym, were shot at Ulysses S. Grant High School in Van Nuys in the San Fernando Valley. An actual high school, just not the right one, and about as far from Beverly Hills as you can get, while still technically being in Los Angeles. So, the most iconic high school of the 1990s is a college campus on the outside and a Valley High School on the inside, stitched together entirely by editing. And here's the detail that makes it perfect. The school's name, Bronson Alcott High, was named after Bronson Pinchot, Heckerling's boyfriend at the time of writing. His full name is Bronson Alcott Pinchot. He was named after the 19th century educator Amos Bronson Alcott, who was also the father of Louisa May Alcott, author of Little Women. So the school name is Bronson Pinchot's entire name, minus the Pinchot. The man best known as Balky Bartokomous from Perfect Strangers is encoded in full into the most famous fictional high school in 1990s cinema. You are now unable to unknow this. Number 6. Amy Heckerling's own mouth cost her an Oscar nomination. Clueless was submitted to the Academy Awards for Best Original Screenplay. The Writers Guild of America agreed. When their awards cycle came around, they classified it as an original screenplay and gave it a nomination on that basis. The characters, the world, the language, all invented. But Heckerling, in interviews promoting the film, honestly mentioned she'd drawn loose inspiration from Jane Austen's Emma. A structural spark. She said the word Austen in a press junket. And the Academy recategorized the screenplay as an adaptation, which placed Clueless in the Best Adapted Screenplay race. The same year, Emma Thompson had written a faithful, period-accurate adaptation of Sense and Sensibility, also Jane Austen, and won that Oscar. So, the screenplay that was so original, it invented its own dialect, competed against a meticulous, literal translation of another Austen novel because its writer was too honest at a press event, and lost. Wallace Shawn, who played Mr. Hall, later pushed back. Her script was inspired by Jane Austen's book, but it wasn't what people ordinarily mean by adapted from another medium. He has a point. Clueless landed in the adapted category because Heckerling mentioned an influence. The Academy treated citing a 180-year-old novel as inspiration, the same as adapting it. Cher Horowitz never made it to the podium. The most original teen comedy of the decade lost its Oscar shot because its writer mentioned a 180-year-old novel in a press junket, and the Academy took it literally. Number 5, the sequel that went exactly where it started. Before the top 4, what's your favorite moment from Clueless? The debate scene, the freeway, the computerized closet? Tell me in the comments. And if you're enjoying this, hit like and subscribe. It keeps the channel going. Clueless became enough of a hit that Paramount did the obvious thing. They turned it into a TV show, which is, and I want to be precise here, literally where it started. A TV show that Fox rejected, going back to TV. The series premiered on ABC in September 1996. Most of the cast returned: Elisa Donovan, Donald Faison, Stacey Dash, but not Alicia Silverstone, not Paul Rudd. The two people whose chemistry was the emotional engine of the film were both out. Rachel Blanchard, a Canadian actress whose biggest credit to that point was the horror anthology Are You Afraid of the Dark, stepped in as Cher. ABC canceled it after 1 season. UPN picked it up. UPN canceled it after 2 more. 62 episodes, 3 seasons, 2 networks. The real punchline, this was exactly the TV show Heckerling had originally pitched to Fox in 1993. Cool kids at a Beverly Hills high school. Fox passed because it was too focused on girls. Paramount turned it into a film. The film became the TV show Fox had rejected, on different networks without the original cast. And the audience that had loved it at the movies mostly didn't follow. Cher Horowitz was shaped for 97 minutes on a movie screen, and television spent 3 full seasons proving it. Number 4. The yellow plaid suit nobody could afford. One of the most recognizable outfits in American cinema. Cher's yellow plaid blazer and mini skirt. The look that launched 1,000 Halloween costumes, a Super Bowl commercial, an Iggy Azalea video, and at least 3 runway revivals across 30 years. It was Dolce & Gabbana. Mona May confirmed it to Town & Country. The yellow plaid suit was a D&G original she spotted on a rack at Neiman's. The moment she saw Silverstone in it, she said, she knew. She became the queen bee. She became the ray of sunshine. May was operating on a $200,000 budget for an entire film's wardrobe. Spending a significant chunk on one suit for the opening scene was either a risk or exactly the right call. It was exactly the right call. The first thing an audience sees the lead character wearing becomes the image the whole film is remembered by. Here's the irony. Clueless is a film about a girl who performs well so convincingly that everyone around her accepts it as real. The costume department ran the same con. One genuine luxury item up front, then thrift store finds and tailored mall pieces, photographed until the whole thing read as expensive. The one real item is the one everyone remembers. The rest was illusion. Number 3. Brittany Murphy walked in and made her co-star lobby for her on the spot. When Brittany Murphy came in to audition for Ty, Alicia Silverstone was in the room. Heckerling wanted to see how the actress would play against her lead. Murphy was immediately obviously right. She was 17. She had the warmth and naivety the role needed, already there, not performed. Heckerling described her as having a naturally funny spirit, bouncy and young, in a way that couldn't be manufactured. Silverstone, watching, turned to Heckerling and said, "I think she's the one. She was the best one, you guys." She was lobbying in real time, in the middle of someone else's audition. Heckerling's response was essentially, "Yes, obviously." Murphy and Silverstone were the only two actual teenagers in the principal cast. Their mothers both came to set regularly. They spent time together between takes. In a cast full of 20-somethings playing teenagers, they were the ones who actually were. After the film, Murphy went on to Girl, interrupted 8 Mile, Uptown Girls, King of the Hill, a career built on range and that same quality that made her right for Ty. You believed her completely, every time. She died in December 2009. She was 32. At the cast reunion in 2019, Breckenmeyer said she was ridiculously talented. Paul Rudd said she was always so smiley and sweet. What Clueless launched for Brittany Murphy was only the beginning of what she was going to do. That's still the part that stays with you. Number 2. The LA Times made her the punchline. In 1995, after Clueless came out, the Los Angeles Times wrote about Alicia Silverstone's forthcoming $10 million two-picture deal with Columbia TriStar. The headline, Carey, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Silverstone. The implication was clear. Those male stars had earned their enormous salaries. The blonde girl from Clueless was evidence of runaway inflation. She was the cautionary tale. This happened the same year a woman made a film every studio had rejected on a $12 million budget and earned $56 million back in a single summer. Silverstone took the Columbia money. She took the Batman role. The rubber Batgirl bodysuit, she told interviewers, was very hard to get in and really, really hard to get out of. Batman and Robin came out in 1997, earned $238 million on a $160 million budget, and was immediately declared one of the worst films ever made. Her career contracted sharply. She felt, in her words to Entertainment Weekly, strange for about 3 or 4 years afterward, over-intellectualizing her work, second-guessing the instincts that had made Cher Horowitz seem effortless. And then she came back, not with a different character or a career pivot. She came back as Cher, executive producing the Peacock sequel series, reprising Cher in a Super Bowl commercial in 2023, standing with Amy Heckerling at the Academy Museum's 30th anniversary screening in 2025. The LA Times wrote that headline in 1995. The woman in it is still Cher Horowitz. The male stars in the headline are mostly not being asked to reprise anything. Number 1, it was never a movie about teenagers. Everything in this list leads here. Amy Heckerling based Clueless on Emma, Jane Austen's 1815 novel about a clever, wealthy, well-intentioned young woman who manages everyone else's romantic lives and is the last to understand her own. She didn't adapt it. She transplanted it. Same bones, different clothes. Emma Woodhouse is perceptive about everyone around her and completely blind to what's directly in front of her. The whole engine of the novel is that the cleverest person in every room is the last one to figure out what everyone else has already seen. Heckerling took that and put it in a yellow plaid suit. Cher gives a genuinely good debate speech about immigration. She negotiates her grades up by arguing her teachers into better moods. She reads Ty's situation correctly from day one, and she cannot, for most of the film, see what is sitting directly in front of her. The studios that passed said there weren't enough boys in it. What they missed is simpler than that. They were reading a script and not seeing the character. Cher Horowitz isn't a type. She's a specific person, generous, accidentally perceptive, and wrong about exactly one thing. That combination is what makes her work 30 years later. That's what Heckerling was protecting every time a studio tried to rewrite it. Fox passed on it. Every studio passed on it. It cost $12 million and has been watched for 30 years, as if they'd seen it coming. So there it is. The movie every studio turned down, that nearly starred Liv Tyler by accident, that put Paul Rudd in a wig and Stacey Dash in a school uniform until she was 32, that dressed an entire school on a budget casino spent on a single scene, and that invented a language still spoken today in places Jane Austen could not have imagined. Which fact got you? The Oscar? Stacey Dash's age? Bronson Pinchot's entire name encoded in the school? The studio that nearly picked Liv Tyler? Let us know in the comments below. And hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Until next time.